Hey, I'm Stephanie Hunt. Welcome to the Cult of Flair, where I chat with creators from all walks of life about the meaning of personal style, fearless individuality, unexpected paths, and insights into finding your flair. Alongside my in-depth interview series, you'll also find snackable short episodes. I do love my snacks. I call these my Flair on the fly. I'll be serving up tips, musings, or insightful nuggets designed to expand your knowledge and to share the flair. Today, I'm here with Donna McNutt. I'm so happy to be here with you today. Thank you so much for making time for me.
Stephanie, I'm so happy too.
What I love, there are so many things I could say about you, but the biggest thing that always strikes me is that you are fighting cancer one outfit at a time, right?
I am.
And you are known as the Cancer Fashionista on Instagram.
I am.
Which I think even that name is so just bold. You're like, this is who I am. I'm so much more, and I'm not letting this diagnosis change anything about me other than the fact that you obviously have some different priorities in your life and a lot of doctor's appointments and God knows what else. Donna has a legion of admirers who are championing, a very difficult word for me, your cause and just are your cheerleaders out here in the world, and I'm one of them. And I remember meeting you. I will say this. You did not even know who I was. We were raising kids together in Newport Beach, both living here. I thought of you as one of the most stylish. Fashion and style are two different things. They can be together, but not always necessarily. You were so stylish. My perception of you, and this has to be 20 years ago, because now if my kids are 26 and 29, they were like tiny kids. Right. You seemed so confident that you did not suffer fools lately. And I know just because you and I have chatted that might not have been the case on the inside, but I didn't know that about you. You just, to me, walked in with this flair before I even had a business called Flairhunter, that you just were going to take no prisoners, and you just were always amazing. And I was kind of intimidated by you, which is hilarious because you're not intimidating at all. But I think that on the inside, I was insecure, and I just looked at you and thought like, wow, she's just got it all together.
I'm dying.
I have not ever had the chance to tell you that.
And my story is going to mirror yours.
Wow.
You're not going to believe it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk to me before we even get into this stage of life.
Right.
You are a mom and you have 3 kids, right? And when the kids were little, were you also working outside the home, or what was your career path like before having kids? I feel like you were probably a fashion designer or an interior designer because you just strike me as one.
You are the best. I really thought I was going to be a flight attendant. Okay.
So good.
And so I went to aeronautics, I'm going to be a flight attendant. And then I really found my calling, Stephanie, and it was really great that this is an era that's completely gone, was the receptionist. They treated like I ended up working for companies that I was their front.
You were the face
of. I dressed like I was a partner. You have no idea.
Absolutely.
But these were places that you were keeping like high-end clients calm. You were the one, you were that first person. So if one of the partners said, do for this person.
Donna, I am trying not to talk about myself, but it's very difficult. It's why my jaw is wide open. My mouth is agape because I was a receptionist.
No way.
I thought I wanted to go to law school, and then I discovered that when I started working for law firms, I realized the only thing I ever cared about was what I wore and what the offices looked like.
Gosh.
And I figured out that I wanted to go to law school because I watched LA Law. And then when I started actually doing the work that attorneys do, which I wasn't doing that work, but paralegal work, I realized I sucked at it and didn't care about any of it. Yeah. But my first jobs were receptionist. It was before voicemail.
Right.
So I would have to answer the phone. I won't say the name of the firm, but thank you for calling, blah, 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 blah. Please hold. Thank you for calling, blah, blah. Please hold.
Right.
Please hold. Thank you for waiting. How may I help you? And then connect them with the partner. And then people would yell at me for dropping calls, and we were doing handwritten messages. But you were the first.
I was much better than you, Stephanie.
I
gave
do not
really
doubt
good
that.
phone. I just want you to know I gave really good phone.
I did not.
I worked in an advertising company in New York.
Wow.
And it was just hysterical because you just knew all the things. You knew everything.
Right.
You could write a book about everyone. So, unfortunately and fortunately for me, I am one generation away, Stephanie, from a traditional housewife mom.
Right.
Who literally, your family was so outgoing though, Stephanie, and I love my parents, but they weren't adventurers.
Okay.
The biggest adventure my dad took was coming from New Jersey to California to make it, and they've settled in, and I think possibly lived the same day.
Right.
For the last 50 years.
Are they still here?
They
They're
are
still
in the
alive?
same house I grew up in as a
Wow.
child. So change, and I was very lucky because I had an older sister who's, we're completely opposite. She was reading with an itty bitty book light in bed, and she was really super smart. And she always said if there was ever a shooter at our school, she would be shot because she was always in the library.
Oh my gosh, I shouldn't laugh at that, but
No, but
there's
that's
kind of a
how
comedy
different
in
we
it.
were. And
Right,
me,
right. Now we don't joke
I
about
was
those
this
things.
misfit who just did everything to become a cheerleader and fit in. And I think that's a lot of what
Oh my
my
gosh, we have
clothing. And
so
I
much
didn't really
crossover.
graduate from picture books. So while you were thinking about law, you know, that wasn't going to even be. It was going to be, can I have, you know, what, coffee, tea? Or because I wasted, like, I literally
There's no waste.
Did not graduate from picture books.
You were incubating.
Like,
you
I'm
were
certain.
incubating, becoming this fashion
But
icon.
you know what's so funny, Stephanie? I was, you know, just so close to this sister because we lived the same life and we stayed in the same twin bed.
Wow.
Till she went to college back east.
Right.
And everything we played when we were kids, because we both say we could write a book about destiny, because everything everything we played when we were kids. We played wagon train. We were Catholics. We played, like, you know, confession in our room. We played everything. She was always poor and, like, pulling the food bank for the poor children. Like, she lives in San Francisco. She's completely a writer, you know, married to a writer. And I was
I know,
always
I'm like,
in a
I can't
purple
wait to hear what
velvet
yours was.
wagon train, and I had, like, people in front of me. And I, you know, I never got sick on my wagon train. It was perfectly decorated. We say, oh my gosh.
I have this thing that kids, my kids for sure.
Yeah.
People are who they are
Yes.
from, and if we don't squash it out of them as parents, which is a tricky
That's what I was
one.
gonna say, to
'cause it's
nurture it.
yeah.
Yeah.
If it's properly nurtured. So of
Right.
course your fashion style roots and
You
love
know.
of color and all of these things were in there. How did you meet your husband? Did you meet your husband in New York?
No, because I came back, and then when Newport was kind of being built, there was a brand new company called Lee and Associates, and Bill Lee still really appreciated that receptionist front.
Okay.
And I started working in that period, let's see, in the 80s, like the early, middle 80s, where I was there 6 years and money was no object. It was
Was this like a real estate development
It
company?
is commercial real estate.
Commercial real estate. Okay.
And I am telling you, I met my husband at open house because they
Okay.
used to throw the biggest commercial real estate open houses.
When it was the 80s, so I think everything was
And
over the top and spare no expense, right?
I literally have to date. I know everyone's story because everyone is reconnected back to commercial real estate. You're either in Xerox, you know, one of those companies,
Exactly.
then you jump to commercial real
Yes,
estate.
this was
And
the 80s. We were
This
the
is
same
where they were
era.
hiring the little yuppie guys.
Right.
You know.
Right.
I think my husband's office one time had a front page spread in Orange County Magazine, the best looking guys in Orange County. It was all that.
You're like, that's
okay,
my
and that was
man.
not me.
Okay.
Now you got to remember, because I'm the receptionist. Okay. So I'm not a DG or part of SC group, or I didn't even understand
God,
it.
this
I'll
is
be
so
honest,
good.
I didn't understand
Right.
it.
Of course
Until I
not.
did. No, I was more fearless when I didn't understand what I didn't have.
I know.
Than when I
that's such a
learned what I
thing.
should have. I was so
There's
fearless.
an essay that should be published in the New York Times. Like
Yes.
that
it's
is a
so
good one.
true. Like
Yeah.
the more I was
Right.
here and the more I met people and the more
Right.
I knew they aren't even inviting me into their group. It's not
Right.
And so it just fed into my own insecurity.
Right.
So my
Interesting.
husband was at an open house and he was fresh meat from Texas. And oh my God, Stephanie, I hung on to him. He still laughs like a barnacle on the
You were
bottom
like,
of a boat. No,
I-
I was like,
I'm not
he
letting
has
him
no
go.
idea what he can have here. And he's going to get this complete fiery redhead. People don't realize I did have
I
red hair.
forgot that you were a fiery redhead.
Yes, white skin, Newport Beach girl.
yeah.
And I just grabbed him, and oh my gosh, we've been together 38 years.
And his life has never
he
been the same.
doesn't know still.
Oh my. You're like, when's he gonna figure out?
And it opened a whole new world for me because we are completely equally unyoked when it comes to family.
Okay.
So that is probably a feeling of being really judged. I'm going to
Yes,
be honest.
yeah.
At the same time, realizing I wanted to learn.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a mother-in-law like Iris Appel, and I am not exaggerating. She has passed away. My husband was born when they were 40, in their like, early
Wow.
40s. So
Right. And in that era, that was uncommon.
and
now
there's a
that's
lot
not a big
going
deal.
on there. That's a whole other book.
Right,
But
that's a whole other book.
I always say I married Bobby Ewing from some of the first episodes.
Okay.
So there was a lot going on in that family. And he came to California, and God, he meets this, Italian white, to them, ethnic
Redhead
girl. Okay.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. They weren't wild about this liaison in the beginning?
No. But I really
Tell me
learned.
more. I love this.
I really learned, though, a lot from that mother-in-law because see, for me, I've never been into the books of things. I've been into the visuals.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah,
had to
you're a student of
accept
visual arts,
that she's doing this right. She is really cool, and let me find out how you set the table up in another way, or let me, even though it was brutal. Okay.
Right. It was brutal, but it's like you were in like Navy SEALs boot camp.
Yes. And
of style and
there was
home
something I always had that she didn't, and that was a really loving and not uncomplicated family.
Got it.
I think I had good roots that way. So I never and also we didn't take anything from them. And I had a really good upbringing that I just wasn't going to trade off, that they would say, we got this for
That's
you.
so amazing,
But I did
though.
get things. Like I would tell her probably today, because she literally would lay in a bed with a outfit. I'm not just like what you would think.
I
I'm
know.
like
I can't
Iris
even
Chappelle.
imagine that. I feel like
And I
this
would
is
sit
like
at the foot of her
this is a
bed,
movie character.
And I wrote journals because I couldn't believe that I wasn't born in that era. Like the era were like in the 40s and 50s where you were going on cruises for 3 months and packing trunks to go.
Wow.
And yeah.
Okay.
So she had a very
I'm going to need to see photos. I'm going to need to see like
You're
visual
gonna
reference
scream.
someday.
Yeah. Let's put it this way. We found a picture once. We were digging through, my sister and I. We were digging because I was moving, and my sister found a picture of our grandmother, and she was in an Afghan, wrapped in an Afghan in her little chair, and then
Very
we found-
appropriate,
very
grandma-esque,
appropriate.
yes.
Grandma knitted those Afghans, and then we found a picture of Jack's grandmother, and she was in a library, and she had a big fur coat on. In the same, like not that kind of chair, like a hardback or something.
Right.
We were dying.
But I think this is the character
Yeah.
study of like
Yes.
grandmother versus
Yes.
grandmother. Yeah.
Yes.
It's so
it was
good.
always learning, I think.
So when you were, I mean, everyone is so much more than a mother. It's not
Oh,
just a
gosh,
mother.
yes.
But when you're a mom in the trenches raising your kids, because it's a wonderful
Yes.
thing and it's a
Right.
scary thing and
Yeah.
challenging and all the things,
Yeah.
and you're just trying to figure out still who you are because
Yeah.
we're supposed to be grown-ups raising a family, but you're really just head down trying to
Right.
figure it all out.
Yeah.
So you're raising your kids. I'm out here as a perfect stranger to you.
Right.
You don't know who I am, and I'm like,
Right.
wow, that girl's got it
know.
all together.
God,
like
you were
that is
so
really
incredible.
amazing. Like, so, but because life takes us different places, and my kids left that school, and everyone grew
Right.
up. I refound you, I think, through Instagram. It's which is like so corny to say, but I did, and was so struck by your account and your feed, which was tiny at the time, and now it's just blown up. And it's the Cancer Fashionista. And I want you to talk to me about your diagnosis, if you would, and how many years
Okay.
ago, and what that even looked like.
I want to tell you, I never forgot you, though. Just so you know,
That's
I
so
honestly
nice.
didn't.
I didn't
I've
even
always
think you knew who I
followed
was until probably 10 full years after.
So you've talked a lot about that, and I want you to know that, Stephanie, I literally remember the last time I saw you in a CVS parking lot, and I think you had like these really cool Prada sandals.
Like, did I trip and fall
there
down?
was something, and you were already architecturally. You have to understand, like you were way before painting a door, apple green, doing things that we were not doing. I was just really lucky because I had a friend who was an architect, and she would take me through some of these sites, and they were so different than some other designers kinds
Right.
of things that everyone was doing their home in one full.
Right.
I've always loved going to the flea market and stuff. So
Same,
I think
like that
if we should
whole
have a table at
aesthetic.
some point to really listen to what everyone's story is. If they wanted to share what their feeling was, because I made up what people were thinking about me.
That's a really good point.
So I just
because
want you to know.
I'm feeling all those decades ago, just and insecure and uncomfortable, and like
to
I'm not
hear
doing
that-
anything right ever. And then
my
I'm
gosh.
looking at you, going like, wow,
gosh,
she's
yeah.
got her shit
It was all
together.
fake.
She is so
It's
confident.
clothing. That's what you have to realize about getting dressed. So I will tell you,
Yes.
that's what I've used in my own journey.
Okay.
In 2015, the biggest thing that I did, and I think the universe was getting me prepared.
Okay.
My daughter got into the performing arts. She's a 10-year spread. She has the oldest brother that loved being raised.
Right.
in where we were living, a second brother who went on his own journey,
Yep.
but not, she literally came out of her skin.
Yeah, she was like, get me out of here.
Like, I've got to. And I had always told my husband, because being a girl from New Jersey originally, I don't know that I ever fit in here. And I think that was huge for me. I wasn't a Southern California born and raised generational girl here.
Right.
I have white skin. I didn't fit in. I learned how to get dressed very early to protect the insecurity in me. So that's all fake. And we have to remind ourselves of that.
Yeah.
So in 2015, we had just moved. I told my husband, I want a cottage by the beach.
Where were you living?
We were in Dover Shores.
You were in Dover
We had a
Shores?
really
Okay.
cool house. And I
Right.
think for our boys, it was shocking because we had a really great ranch spread there. Very large lot, like 14,000 square foot lot. Big. We had built it out, the pool, the park. We had a reception in our a wedding reception in our backyard. So I think my boys, they inherently think we're just going to pass that on.
Right.
That'll
Like,
be your
this is
house.
exactly-
And
this is
yes,
my
we're going to hold on to
estate.
this. No. And everyone thinks we retired to Laguna. No, we traded.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got that cottage. And 6 months later, through experiencing many different symptoms, I ended up in the hospital.
Wait, I just have to stop you for a minute.
Yeah.
Was it mostly pain?
No,
Is it
Stephanie,
fatigue? Or just like a brain fog? Or you can't even...
me, like I always operate. I probably dressed my way through so much pain because by the time it was Easter Sunday, I got up, and what is the one thing I would know something was wrong? I could not get dressed anymore.
Wow.
I literally
Oh my gosh, that
could
gives
not
me
pick
chills.
my Easter outfit, which would be huge for me. And my children were all home.
Right.
My daughter was still living at home. My boys had already gone their way, been through school, 10-year spread. So I remember I looked at my husband, go, take me. And you know what, Stephanie?
You just knew something was wrong.
My ribs had hurt so bad. There was something that literally by the time I even got into the hospital, this does not happen in any emergency room. They took me immediately.
They knew.
I knew, like, immediately, and I was there for 2 weeks.
Oh my God, your husband had to be terrified.
It was, but I'm going to tell you.
Or did he think there was nothing wrong with you?
He knew.
Okay,
It was almost like by the time they laid me down, you're not yourself anymore. So
Okay.
all those layers of protection of what I did, it was not. So to be honest, I have a heart for someone who walks in an office who's of sound mind that hears, you have cancer. That is not my story. My story is, I don't care if you tell me it's an alien. My kidneys started failing, my organs. Oh my gosh, what's going on? So it was like for my children and everything. This is the sweet part though, Stephanie. I needed to get better from that point.
Yeah.
Where people are going to get worse from the point of
I have
sitting in
never
a
thought of
doctor's
that.
office.
And I've been seeing a few friends through cancer treatment, everything right
Do you
now, but they
understand?
were the stories of they felt 100% went in for routine tests and then found out
I
something.
had this kind of cancer.
And I've never thought about that.
So for me, I have a heart for that part.
100%.
And it's really hard to explain to someone that every single thing that was going to cure me or sustain me was like a ticket, like I was Willy Wonka. What? And I remember when the doctor came over my bed, and this was at a local hospital, and she said, you have so many cancer cells. We have like 85%. You have multiple myeloma. What the heck is that?
And was this from a blood test? Well,
A bone marrow biopsy
Bone marrow
in the back,
biopsy.
in the spine. And
that sounds awful.
you know what? Here's the thing that first got to me was I have a 15-year-old daughter.
Yeah, I feel like
Tatum.
that would be the thing you think of first.
Tatum, I love you, honey, but she would have used me as an excuse. Let's face it, a 15-year-old daughter. Honey,
you know what? I wasn't following you.
Oh man, I
That's
had
true.
a head left. And I was
guess
like,
what?
I am going to live. I am going to live. In the hospital, I was giving my husband what he needed to do because I'm sure he was just handing her out money. Honey, are you okay? Here,
I mean,
take
I feel
this.
like I was that 15-year-old girl, so you're right.
See?
I would have taken the opportunity.
Oh my goodness!
To,
And I have to live. Okay, so when we left, obviously, when we came back, I highly recommend for anyone going through any form of cancer, especially in these areas, Stephanie, you need to find a hospital that is dealing with your type of cancer.
Okay.
Find the specialist. Do not stay
Just at
with
the
your
same
local
place.
oncologist.
Right.
Go out and do it. Now, if you have a friend, obviously, and my cancer's so unique. It's bone marrow blood cancer. At the time, they gave me about a 5-year life expectancy.
Oh my God.
So my children could Google that cancer when they heard from the hospital. I have older adult sons. There was no, and I, Stephanie, there's bits and pieces, but I just remember someone told me, be authentic with your children, and that was the best advice. And I try to do that with everything now. And that would look like, we're scared. I could mirror back to them, I'm scared too, but I'm going to fight.
Oh, it makes me emotional.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's
beautiful.
It was like,
because I can see people think like, oh, be strong for your kids. It's going to be fine.
Right.
But no, if you're honest, like that, just that
So
vulnerability.
I had I've had so many epiphanies, but the epiphany I had in the hospital was, maybe even when I got home and Stephanie, I was an Oompa Loompa. When your kidneys are failing, you blow up. So my mother had to bring me like granny panties into the hospital because like nothing fit. Like, what do I do?
And I'm looking at this Vogue magazine fashion icon. I can't even picture
this person who the shell has gotten removed.
Yeah.
You understand?
You can't hide it under.
I am naked. To me, I am naked. I have to wear makeup every day.
Yeah.
I can't be Pam Anderson. I can't have a revelation like that in my life. I will not look like that.
Right.
Okay? Do you know when Jack even took me in the hospital? He could attest to this. Because I was so ill, I curled up and I had my head completely down in the wheelchair because I don't know how to present myself to the world.
Yeah. Right.
Any other way, Stephanie. So when I was Googling, I'm like, what does this even look like on the other side? And I remember like maybe because I went to City of Hope and oh God.
And how did someone
Because
recommend
someone
that
else
you
in
go
the
there?
area,
Okay.
was really a weird cancer, and now there's so many people in this area that have it.
I do feel like I keep
It's
hearing
everywhere
more and
now.
more.
And satellite offices have opened, so I know
Okay.
like 6 of us are very close here in
Okay.
Newport. But I didn't know what the face looked like, and I made myself this promise because you make all kinds of promises, I think. And it was, I swear, if I get healed, if I get to the other side, I have to walk into a patient's room and say, this is multiple myeloma, because I didn't have one example.
Wow.
What does this side look like?
And now you're doing that
And
for
now
other
I
people.
have to. And so, but I also know all the dark sides.
Yeah.
You know what I
do.
mean? So what happened, Stephanie, is when I got home, it was actually my baby sister who loves you too, Stephanie.
Aw, I
she's
wanna
so
meet her.
excited. Couldn't believe I was coming on here. Okay, what's the best way for someone like me who does not want to talk about medical Caring Bridge stuff? Sorry, bless Caring Bridge if you're on that. I don't want you to know I had 20 tests today and this has happened. I couldn't. There were so many things I got so like, I'm that person who just does not want to be on a food chain. Like I can't.
Right.
Even if there's problems, I get
Like you
really
like go
still and go inward
inward.
because there's an exposure there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I think that with something like this so dire, I would think, I don't know,
Right.
but it would crystallize things
Yeah.
immensely.
It-
where
it
you're like,
did.
this is what matters,
Yeah.
and this doesn't matter.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was the whole move and everything, you know. And I remember I would go. I had to have 6 months of intensive chemo here in Orange County. And even though I was a patient of City of Hope, they have to do that. And when I met that brilliant oncologist there, she looked at me and she said, Donna, you are so healthy, a 55-year-old, before this happened,
Right.
that even if you don't get this countdown, I am going to promise you a stem cell. So for me, that is not everyone's thing.
No.
I mean, I'm telling you, I talk to every patient now that I meet in this, in this journey, and maybe someone had a really bad experience. Even with my own doctor, it doesn't. Everyone's story is
Everyone's
the same.
story is different.
To me, I think I was constantly looking so I could go home, and I told my kids, "Mom is going to survive. I'm getting a stem cell." I never knew that after that stem cell, I would have to remain in treatment. Okay. So,
I know. I mean,
no, I had no
how
idea.
would you know?
Like
How
I am
would
not,
you know?
me and not reading. I just wanted a picture of what you look like. Okay, so I did get my stem cell, and I did this training. This is before COVID. This is 2016 now, in October of 2015. So April, I made it to October, got that stem cell.
Okay, I'm going to stop you.
Yeah.
A stem cell is a stem cell transplant,
It
right?
is.
And what does that look like? Are you
Well,
in the hospital for, is that an
yes,
hour? Is
a
that
month.
a week?
It's a month.
It's a month.
It's a month.
Okay.
Okay. And
You got it. You did it.
And I told our children in 1 year we're going to go
You're like,
to Bali.
done and done.
And we are going to celebrate that it's been a year and everything else. And everything
cancer-free.
happened to me the way it was supposed to. And because I'm not a huge reader and I have people in my group, I have a person that's like Dr. Cindy and she helps me with the medical things. I'm going to help you prepare for a month in the hospital. You are not going to wear a hospital gown. Okay. That's me. Okay, you are going to buy the cutest freaking slippers and change them every day. Okay.
Wait, this is you deciding to do this, or
No,
this is
this is
Dr.
me.
Cindy
No,
saying
but
like,
no,
okay.
she's my friend, and she'll
Okay,
tell
okay.
me the medical things in our little group. She
Okay.
tells me,
Okay.
this is what you need. I have someone to ask those things. To me, it's always been, how
What
do
am I
I
gonna
survive
wear?
this? And so when I was naked and not surviving, every day, every time I had an appointment, which was weekly, even chemo and doctors,
It's like a full-time
I would
job.
take a picture of myself and send it to my family. I have a mom and dad that are living. I have an Italian family, let me tell you, every cousin, aunt, uncle. What could be the best message, them knowing me, to say, look at me today, I'm dressed.
Gobsmacked.
Do you
by
understand?
this.
So I
just
would
think
send
it's so
out that, and
beautiful.
I started this little teeny blog because I didn't want, and it's in the
So
ether
this
now.
wasn't even
It
Instagram.
wasn't,
this was
even,
just
it was
for
a little
your
blog,
family
but
or
they
close
passed
circle
it,
of friends.
Yeah, to say go on this, and it was what I had on that day, and maybe something funny about it, like ooh, this was a rough night, man. Did I eat jalapenos? Because these,
Yeah.
you're so ill during a stem cell, but
But it's keeping your people close
even
to
what
you,
my
knowing
pajamas
what's
were,
going on.
but in a way that and my youngest baby sister coined me the cancer fashionista, and
I
how
had no idea that this is how the whole
honest
thing
to
started.
God, Stephanie, go and look. You are not going to find one picture on any social media of me before I had cancer. For me to take a picture of myself, this is how you have a mission somehow in your life. There was never a Facebook. I have like the same kids I think that were in Tatum's 3rd grade, their moms.
Right.
I don't know how to I don't even have the app, but it's out there.
Right, it's out there, but
yeah,
you don't
I get
even
emails,
look at it.
but
yeah.
no, I never posted one picture of my family. It just wasn't my
No, it wasn't
generation.
your
I'm
thing.
63. It just wasn't my thing.
Right.
Oh my gosh, pretty soon there was this need, and I started mentoring, and I remember the first patient, I'm still friends with her, walked in her room. Now this is before COVID, so you got to remember it was a lot. You went through training, you got to be in the hospital. That all changed.
Okay.
So even more importantly, oh my gosh, and I remember the first picture I took, I think you even liked that, you were so sweet. And my son set it up for me, and I didn't even know what I wanted it to be, other than what I've discovered is I've never tried to grow it. I've never been sponsored. I have to keep it that I really look like this today.
Absolutely. And
no.
I think what it's doing for people and educating me.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't had cancer or haven't had
Right.
cancer yet. I
Yeah.
have a niece who during
Right.
pandemic is
Yeah.
25 and she
Yes.
survived acute myeloid leukemia.
Right.
Barely, and now she has
Yeah.
thyroid cancer, stage
Right.
4. Like I've just a lot.
No,
but,
there's a lot.
But even watching you and how you, and then in your captions, you'll talk about what's going on today. I
Yeah.
feel like you're
A little bit.
You're
like,
just a
yeah,
little bit,
little
but
bit.
you're teaching people, and also I feel like probably giving so many people who also are fighting this fight hope. Like, look at what you're doing.
Well, the
and-
DMs, you know what they've become for me, Stephanie?
Oh, okay.
There are so many times I'm going, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
because it's
Listen,
still work.
I want to be anonymous. Okay, sometimes I just want to walk. Well, once you have something, you're the one who lost. Oh, Stephanie lost her. Whatever you lost in your life, you're defined, and suddenly that was huge for me. You have to. I am promising you, I am as equally introverted, and when I'm extroverted, I love you.
Oh, I believe you because
I
I've
am
started
not going to
wondering
get up
if
and
I'm
karaoke. I can't do
never.
it.
I have
I
started
have
to wonder
never-
if I'm an introvert because that
Oh, I
just
took
had
the
to
test.
learn to be an extrovert when I was little to get attention. Because
Extrovert.
I feel like it just takes it out of me at the end of a
Yeah.
day where you're just talking. Then I'm like the last 2 nights I've been here, I'm thrilled to be in a rental car because no one
Right.
knows it's me. And I go back to the hotel and I get takeout food and I sit in my bed and watch
Right.
TV and go to bed at
I can have
8:30.
incredible talks with someone, but honestly, I do. My husband is an extrovert, and he's quiet, quieter than me. We go to a party. He is like a balloon that's being filled the whole party till I have to drag him at like the party's over.
Wow.
I am a balloon filled when I walk in.
Oh my God, I need the test. You need to
I'm
send
a
me the test.
balloon
Is this
filled.
online?
I took it when I was like, God, in school.
I don't
And
even.
it
I'm
was
sure
like-
you can
it
find
was like
anything
a-
online. I
yeah,
can probably
it was a
get
eureka
a test.
moment
Get-
though, because I
Yeah.
always did. People wanted me to perform, like even
Yeah,
when I
because
was
you
older.
seem
They go,
so
"Hey, Donna will do
extroverted."
this," and you're
Yeah.
like, "Ooh, gosh, no, I'm never going to dance on the table." But I have 3 sisters, and we are going to perform for you.
Okay.
We are going to invite us to your wedding. We will be the best. We will
you'll
be the
be
best
having a good
guest
time.
because that's the entertainment you do with your sisters,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
you're
our children are
safe
watching us.
family.
We shove them out of the way. Anytime the sisters are together, we're
It's
like,
so
okay,
good.
out of the way. We're going to show you how to hula hoop.
It's
you
so
know?
good. I love it.
Yeah. So there's a real. So I just knew.
Okay, the outfits. I'm getting
No,
off track.
I know,
It's
I
so
can't
funny.
help
I
it.
have this whole list of questions. I'm not even asking any of them
it's
just because I
okay.
like this conversation.
know.
Even
Thank
one of
you,
them when I'm like,
Stephanie.
what is your definition of flair? I already know what your definition of flair is. Like
don't
you
know.
literally, if someone said, what does flair actually mean? I'm like, meet my friend Donna McNutt.
Oh my gosh.
This
You
is-
know what? You're so cute, Stephanie. So just getting dressed, Stephanie, I did. I just want, I know that I keep getting off track myself.
No,
but-
you're not.
But, I discovered something huge in the beginning when I got to City of Hope. People were talking about my shoes and not cancer. Okay?
Wow.
And for me, I was walking the halls, and I really, truly have told. I mean, people will tell you it's the truth. I was walking the halls like I was on a runway instead of running, like going to a bone marrow.
This is so good.
Okay, I was literally, there was something like I have to be more confident. Now, I just want people to know this one thing. No one has to be me, Stephanie. And there has always been pressure on my own life that I'm reading other people's stories. And what better story is the cancer story that someone ends up climbing Mount Everest? Oh my gosh, you're cooking like that now and you're clean living and you've cut out all and
It's
you
almost
had this
another
thing
form of pressure.
and it's almost for a person like me, not anyone else.
I would
you could
I
go
would
on
interpret
path.
that as pressure.
But
Like, oh my God, how can I do this right?
literally am like, I am no greater than I was the day before cancer. People, this is not something I thought up. Don't think up something.
Right.
If you're a person like me, don't think up that you need a goal of something. I have not changed really anything about my life other than to have kept something. You are the same person the day after diagnosis that you were the day before.
Yeah.
So whatever is going on in your life magically is not going to change. Okay,
It's
you
still-
are
right.
the one.
That's a great reminder and
You
a
are
great
going to
point.
have to
Yeah.
do it yourself, and it could just be as simple. And that's my biggest thing is, like, don't be me. But if you love to even play tennis, and you're really equipped to do that because your body, even through a stem cell or something, get back out there.
Yeah.
Okay. There were things
Just try to keep your life
and
as
the
like,
people do
as normal
and we
as
cannot
possible.
compare ourselves because
No.
I'm telling you, there are men in my group, and Stephanie, they get these steroids. Us women are crying. Like we're that weekend is the worst weekend. Our husbands hate us. They're out there golfing and
Because
thinking
of
they
what
have
the
best
steroids
golf
do for
swing.
them. Okay.
Because it's different for them.
Right. Interesting.
So no comparison. I love, you can ask me because I think you had it on there. Like, what is Flair and another person? And,
Yeah, and I want to know. There are a few
Yeah.
things I want to know.
Yeah.
Like I've said your definition of flair, even though I think you already have it, and then even like some which probably wasn't even on my list of questions, but like how you find what you love or how your personal style has evolved over the years. Take cancer out of it. Like how did you dress 20 years ago, or what were you super into as a high schooler versus today?
Probably mirroring a million different things.
Yeah.
I've had 4 girls in our family, and everyone can tell you I was, I had a different idea every 3 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. First, I want to tell you definition of flair. When I meet someone, the biggest flair for me is confidence. I love when someone is wearing their clothes and the clothes aren't wearing them. I like when someone is in their home and the home isn't wearing, the same way.
Yeah.
There is
It's just
something
true.
I've
Yeah.
watched my whole
like true
life.
and honest.
I always say I could pick a really good jury.
I
Like,
bet you
they
could.
should be, because I was always, my teachers, everyone, I was always dreaming away and looking down and going, what does she have on? And
This is the
or
same no matter what
that.
I'm doing. If I'm skiing, I'm like really just looking at people's outfits.
Like my
I'm not
husband
orange
goes,
ski
Donna, I
pants.
never noticed that guy's socks. I mean, I could like investigate something, you know. So that is huge for me. And that confidence is just that you're rocking that, and it could be just something that, like even you're rocking that you're not normal.
Exactly.
I love that.
And I feel like we're getting either I'm noticing it more, or because I'm older, I don't care as much. But I feel like maybe we are starting to embrace individualism a bit more, or I sure hope we are, or maybe it depends on where you live or who your circles are. But same thing. I love seeing somebody walk in something fabulous and loud,
or even
and different.
whatever they
even
are.
if it's quiet, even if it's all white, but
just like I'm proud.
Yes,
I'm proud,
exactly.
I'm loud,
This is
I'm
me.
proud.
Yeah.
And really for myself, because I thought about this when you asked, Donna, what would you like someone to think your flair is? And I honestly really thought about
your Flair
this.
factor.
My Flair
What is your
factor.
Flair?
And
your
I
Flair
honestly
factor.
really work on this all the time. Is how I make you feel. That's my Flair. How do I make you
100%.
feel? And you know what? That is so important to me. In kind of even. There are times I'm angry. There are times I'm angry at my own life. I'm angry at what the world whatever. We have a moment every day to just, like, to me, my world's this big. I can't change everything, but I can change that. You know, my favorite part of the day is walking in Starbucks and seeing my people there.
Totally.
You know what I mean? Like,
or mine's like,
like I really,
what's for dinner? Meaning I don't want to go out. I want to stay home for dinner. And what are we watching on Netflix? What are we streaming right now? Like, it just feels so good.
I just want people to know that I see them. And whatever that looks like.
And how a person makes you feel is the most memorable thing about them. I mean, I always say like, I'll remember what somebody wears because I'm obsessed with outfits and personal style and all of that. I mean, God forbid I remember our mortgage rate. I don't remember anything like that, but I can tell you what shoes you were wearing 4 Halloweens ago.
Right.
But is how a person made you feel.
But I guarantee that person, if they were not very friendly, you would probably, there's something like you might remember the shoes, but you always remember who was wearing them.
Definitely.
In a different way, and I still want to be remembered like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's huge, you know.
Okay, we only have a few more minutes. I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, then you're going to have
We
to
have
come
part
back.
two.
We're going to have
We
to
have
have
part two.
We're going to
I
have
want
part
part
2.
two.
Or come be my co-host one
I
day.
love
We could,
it.
like, interview
Oh my God, we'd
somebody
have
else.
so much fun.
They'll never get a word in
love it.
edgewise.
I know.
They'll be like,
You and
never
me? Oh,
mind.
God.
This is about us. Give me like your 4 least expected sources to find great shoes, clothes, accessories. I kind of already know the answer because I follow you.
Right.
But what I love is that you present, like when you walk into a room today, or when I see a photo on social media, I could assume that everything you're wearing, talk about somebody who rocks their outfit, is from, I'm not going to say the name of a boutique, but from a boutique where every single thing is at minimum $2,500.
Okay, and that's
and
so
I
not true.
know
Yeah.
just because I study you and follow you that you are such a fan of vintage and funky and cheap and cheerful.
Right.
Not cheap, but just stop taking it so seriously.
Yeah.
That's what I love too. Is like one shirt doesn't have to be so serious or an investment. Just
I think
if it brings you
honestly,
joy,
that
do it.
took me forever, Stephanie. So there
Did
is
it?
a pile, and I could walk in someone's house and see like 4,000 items from my own home, 10 years back because they I don't like that style anymore.
Right.
Here's the 4 things, and I wish I'm going to try my best. Never be scared to walk in anywhere.
Exactly.
Never be scared to learn. Walk into Chanel. I had a little shopping group with my daughter when they were kids because those are the things that were so intimidating to me.
Yes.
Learn what something really looks like when it's made well. Don't just say, "Oh, that's $10,000." That I know the difference now. I didn't know how to buy one thing instead of a consumption of things.
Okay, that is such
huge.
a great point. That is huge.
So accessories are a consumption for me.
Okay.
I've learned don't buy the cute little shoe you just saw at Target because it's never going to stay in your wardrobe.
Right, and it might not be
It's just
comfortable.
It's not
right,
even.
Right.
So
So
you cannot
certain
convince me
things
otherwise.
Splurge. Right.
So walk into every boutique that you can find in your own area. Okay, that has helped me
Support
immensely.
local also.
Support local.
Yeah.
But also we are now in an internet. So if you do see something that maybe is out of your price point or something. Look up the label, okay? Shop consignment.
Absolutely.
I've many times, because sometimes locally, and God bless, I have shopped locally in my boutiques and things. It's just out of the price point for some people.
Yeah.
So and my biggest, people say, I heard someone tell me the other day, that's fast fashion, and they were saying Zara. And I said, no, I am here to tell you that I got a PhD in Zara. My whole outfit is Zara except my shoes. And
I could give you Zara testimonials too.
Okay, because it took me
brilliant.
10 years. No, you were working, okay? I was shopping every single Monday to this day. On the top of my errands is 10 o'clock, get to Zara. They changed. No, wait, Stephanie, they changed.
I don't know this. You're
changed
teaching
the
me
four
something.
Monday and Thursday.
Okay.
They have basics that always stay. They come
Every
back.
Monday and Thursday
But
they
every
change
Monday and
it?
Thursday. And if you don't get that little designer capsule or whatever comes in, you're not. It took me 10 years. Now, this is, how long has Zara been at
I don't
Suncoast
even
Plaza?
know.
Like,
I
it's
think
gotta be 25 years.
I'm a recent
No,
convert, like
this is
4
how
years ago.
dedicated. When people say, where'd you get that? It's like, oh, God. It's taken me years to get here. I can't tell you that you can buy or find what I've invested in.
Right.
It's like me asking to be a designer like you. There's no way I could catch up.
And it's not just about the piece.
No,
it's about how
everything.
you're styling
how long
it,
took
how
me,
you're putting
how
it
long
together.
it took me. And
Yeah.
that is, so Zara for me is a place that I do find really cool things that people, and then I'll intermix that by going to the local boutique and maybe getting the one coat that I go, oh, that's really cool. And then always look at the labels. People stick with what they know. And so I'll find, I was just recently in New York and I was invited by a friend, and I'm dragging her, and there's not very many boutiques left, but I'm dragging her in this really cool shoe store. I said, come on, I own 3 pairs now. Everyone goes, where'd you
love
get
that.
those? And it's like,
If you find something you
not
love,
anything
stick
that
with
anyone else, that you don't just go and get your general
Right.
brands.
Right. Make it special.
Make it special. Like, you can find those things.
Yeah.
But it all matters, your lifestyle and what you're into. And I have 3 sisters, and they have never invested what I would, and they probably, what I mean? Like, I have to accept the fact that
different priorities.
there's a different priority for
different
everyone.
priorities.
And this is
Right.
what I do because I have to.
What's next for you?
I
want to know.
I
I
don't
want you to write a
know.
book.
No,
I
you're
feel
so
like you need a
cute.
TV show.
I would love,
We're
love,
manifesting.
love,
Even though you say you're an introvert,
no.
I'm like, we
No,
can
but
make you
I
a
would
star.
love to do maybe something like this.
Yeah.
You know,
I
but,
really
but
think
I'd
you
have
should.
to have someone lead me, meaning it wouldn't be my own invention. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like let's talk cancer or something, but let's talk about it in there are hysterical stories. We bond in a way, and especially my cancer, because it's incurable.
So you're told that basically you're going to live with
It's not
this,
curable.
and then they
until
just
they find a cure.
Got it.
I have had 2 transplants. I have had ups and downs. I could maybe leave here in 3 days. Something has happened to me, or they find something.
Right.
You're constantly under doctor's care. Now, there are people, there are all different stages, and it's really important when you're talking about multiple myeloma. People find it smoldering. People find it in different stages.
Okay.
People have lived for
Okay.
15 years. People like to say that, but I was, mine is not that.
Okay.
And that's okay.
It is okay.
It is okay.
And you get to focus on
So,
when
right.
I'm like, what's next? Like,
Yeah.
I sort of love also.
Yeah.
I don't know, but does it
Right.
sort of force you back into right now? What can I focus on? Like,
I
how
have
do
to
I
tell
make
you
people
what really
feel?
made me focus on the biggest thing was, oh my gosh, I'm going to end this by telling you just 2 quick things,
Please.
Stephanie. Oh my gosh, I have to. This thing came over me. I've had a few major epiphanies, okay? And one was, oh my God, I have to ask my children for forgiveness.
Oh,
Okay, I have
we
to.
talked about that for a
I
second.
have to
So
free
beautiful.
them. What is the generational thing? I am married to someone who's had parents that have passed. What could have mattered to him? My parents are still living. What would matter the most to me? And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to free them. So I individually took every child and said, Mommy needs to, let you just know that I have people my age and I'm still complaining about my own parents. Please, let's free
Yes.
let's be free. I am so sorry. Even if they could, I have sons first, 2 sons. They're not going to tell you what your daughter's going to.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the healing of my daughter.
Right.
It was just simply,
It's a beautiful
it's like that
thing.
ended up becoming my heaven for me, is that was the only thing
And
I wanted,
and having
forgiveness.
that conversation.
And having that conversation, and we've stayed very close because they too have to go through, oh my gosh, they could almost forget for a moment, and it's always on the back of their mind because they've seen many bad turns sometimes that I've survived.
Right.
And then the other
what's your
huge
other one?
epiphany, it was kind of like, you're saying, do you live your best day? No, I probably still do a lot of stupid waste of time and watch bad TV and all kinds of things. But what I did do, and that was huge for me. And then the other thing was I was just writing this journal, Stephanie, because, I'm a control freak. And how is anyone going to live without me? When mom goes...
But you don't give that
It's a real
impression
big
off. That is
difference. No,
hysterical.
it's a real big difference when mom is failing in the family health-wise compared to dad.
Okay.
That's a whole other topic.
Yeah.
But I've lived it long
when you
enough
come
to
back.
know that a mom is a central for me. I'm the Christmas. I'm Santa. I'm putting everything together. My husband is out there working, and
Slaying
he always
the dragons
has.
out there.
He always has.
Yeah.
I have not had a full-time job. I have dabbled in a lot of small things throughout my marriage. Been more into philanthropy, things that Jack is slaying the dragon. So, oh my God. And he's 55 and someone's going to come in and I built this whole life and then he's going to marry some girl from Laguna Coffee. I mean, the amount of like food chains and stuff that were coming in from my single husband at the time. I mean, oh my, you're your mind.
Right.
So I was writing. I was going to write up to like, I don't know, till
All
they
the
died.
things,
Oh,
yeah.
you have no idea. It was like this thing was just growing and growing and oh my gosh. And last year, this is 8 years in.
8 years in.
Last year, I had an episode that honestly, my husband and I even looked at ourselves, each other in the eye, and we thought, oh my God, this is it.
This is it.
And I came home because I survived. And I came home, probably planned 3 outfits, and got the journal. It was last Mother's Day, and I got the journal and I threw it in the trash, Stephanie.
Oh my gosh, that gives me chills.
I threw it in the
it's
trash.
It's like you gave up the worrying about control
the
of
kids
the like.
flew home because I knew I had an epiphany. One of my other great epiphanies. What is it that I really want to tell my children? What is it that you're trying, Donna, for?
Right.
And we flew them home, and we could have a TV because all these things seem sad, but in the same way, you could have you could have a video and watch 2 boys how they react, and a daughter and a husband. It would kind of be funny,
right?
Actually, because you're going to say
like
something really heavy, and then
and like
someone who's
have
gonna,
a giggle
so
over being
we
able
fly
to
them home,
observe this.
fly home
To have
need
a
to see
family
because I
meeting.
wasn't even sure after that how that would look, how they were going to treat me. It was it was awful, and I went to a tattoo parlor, Tiffany. Now, Stephanie, you have to remember, I would be posing, and I don't like posing. Like, I can tell when people are posing in certain things. So getting a tattoo any moment before this would be so posing for me. And I have a daughter that's all tatted. So
I know
she's
we're
rocking
kind
it.
of a tatted family at this point.
We're she's...
Yeah.
Okay, but you're true to your tats. I would not be, okay? And I went in there, and I had these 3 little hearts put on my wrist for each one of my children. And I flew them in, and I sat them down, and I couldn't say this before, but I can say it now. I simply told the kids, Mom threw her journal away. Now, one son was like, Mom, I go, no, listen to
This
Mom.
is big.
This is what Mom has discovered. Just the only thing I want you kids to do for me is that I have carried you, and I took a Band-Aid off, and they were like, whoa, my daughter's like, get another one, Mom. Immediately she thinks I'm part of the tattoo
Mom's
family.
crossed over.
Oh, no, she had me
on
with
my
a
side.
snake or something. I mean, I'm like, kid, that's not going to happen.
Transplant.
Okay, so, and I said, Mom carries you every single day in her heart.
You're killing me.
And one day, all I ask is that peace that you're carrying of me, you cherish it.
Yeah.
Isn't that all we really want?
Please tell me,
Stephanie?
like, did I mean, I think the whole family would be
No,
sobbing,
I-
or my sons
I
would.
was sobbing
My
more.
sons would be uncomfortable.
No,
probably, I'd be
no, I'm
sobbing.
saying,
My
I
husband would be
was
teary,
sobbing.
and my boys
Okay,
would
but
be like,
that
I'm
isn't
kinda
that the most
uncomfortable with
important
this.
thing we
Yeah,
really
it
want?
really-
It's just
so
that they
beautiful.
cherish that part we put so
Yeah.
much work into.
Right.
And so I don't know what that
your
part
life
looks
work. Like, that's the most
but
important,
I'm not going to be able
important
to
thing.
control anything else. And I'm there's a lot of blessings, and one is that we vacation. We did 5 years. Before Tulum was popular, we started going on family vacations instead of Jack and I flying to these exotic places that, my gosh, we're taking the 5 of us, so we have no money to go to Thailand like we want to.
Big deal.
So this year we're going to Italy, in June. So we do things like that too.
I love it.
Yeah.
I just think, okay, so tell our listeners and viewers where they can find you. Even though I've said it, they need to hear it from you, because this is just such a treat. And now I'm even renewed. I've renewed my commitment now to really see what you're doing and wearing every single day.
You're so sweet.
So the Instagram handle is
The Cancer Fashionista.
And it's Instagram. It's not.
It's Instagram.
Is there a
nothing
TikTok?
else. I
Is there a
am so
Facebook?
technically. You're going to have to help me even upload this.
No, I don't.
Promise you,
There's so many things I don't know how to do.
I have a really.
It's the young people around me that do it.
I want my followers to know, if they listen to this, that Stephanie, it has changed, and I am now dressing because I'm being held accountable.
Absolutely.
I am being held accountable.
Yeah.
Just like we would hold our kids accountable for what we invested in them.
Right.
My people have invested in me a solidified following, not huge in numbers, but huge in
engagement. Engagement counts more than follower numbers.
So I'm here to tell you, there are times I'm like, and I don't post every day. I used to try to play by every rule that someone told me, because I'm just like that.
It's impossible to try to chase it.
And I'm just posing and I'm gross and, oh God, who am I on that? I mean, I got as many doubts on that thing that I did throughout my whole life, trust me.
But I don't know. I just think what you're doing is really remarkable.
But now it's like I get DMs
and
and people, and you make friends.
Yeah,
that
definitely.
That are different than if I was making friends. I don't know.
Different than if they were just living in your same neighborhood. Yeah. Okay, I just want to thank you again so much. I feel like I know you so much better. I'm so lucky.
Me too.
Thank goodness I have this podcast, so I forced you to talk to me for an hour.
I want to hang out.
We're going to. Okay, off video and audio and all the other things.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for listening to today's episode of The Cult of Flair. I'm Stephanie Hunt. If you like what you heard, please share it with a friend. Follow the podcast on whatever platforms you are listening. Follow me on Instagram at The Flairhunter or at The Cult of Flair. And until next time, go find your flair.